and Armstrong Sims.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Rolling through Baylor baseball right now in the bottom of the seventh, trying to make some noise against Texas Tech, trailing as it sits 10-4 as the Red Raiders have put up another one in the bottom seven. Adrian Boitan takes set one against Bloomberg in Orlando. And now, look, Coach, they told us that sports would start dying down come about the middle of May, and they lied to us as assistant track coach Michael Ford joins the show. Everything's going on right now.
Yeah, we're trying to keep tabs on everybody else. We have track here in College Station, and we got baseball going and tennis still, so there's a lot of Baylor Bear action still going on. I'm
telling you, they said it. They said, look, your job gets so much easier and there's so little to cover when it comes late May, and they lied. They absolutely lied, and a big part of that is you guys, being in the West Regional, and not only that, the amount of athletes that are competing with this Baylor team this week on the men's and women's side. Give me an outlook, Coach, on what the next 4 or 5 days will look like for you and your team.
It's going to be a little different. This is the first time we've had regionals where the men and the women were split. We've done it for nationals the last 2 years. But the regional is normally a 3-day meet. Now it's a 4-day meet. So we actually just got back from working out our young ladies at the track for their last shakeout before they compete tomorrow. Our men, they go today. We start off with the pole vault at 3:00, and then we kind of just roll through it until about 9 tonight. And the last event for our men tonight will be the 200.
Well, Coach, I know it's going to be a long 4 days for you guys being in College Station. Just take me through the stamina that it takes not to be. I know we always talk about the athletes and how much they put in, but to be a coach and be standing out there for 4 days and just pouring it all into these guys, what is that like?
Well, I'll let you know after Saturday. First time for us to do it. So I think the big thing is trying to manage the athletes when they're not competing. It's usually a lot easier once we're at the track, but making sure our ladies are sleeping, resting, eating, getting treatment when they're not competing. And our guys, like I said, today, they start off today. And I think the big thing for us is making sure, one, they know how to qualify in their races for today. And then the good thing is that guys will be off tomorrow, and then they'll come back on Friday. So the same thing with the ladies. The ladies will start tomorrow, they'll have off Friday, and they'll compete on Saturday. So I actually like the format. It's just trying to, I would say, the dead time. And as a coach, I'm at practice all day already, so I'm kind of used to it. But it'll go by quick, though.
Coach, looking at being in College Station with 12 athletes, 12 individuals competing on the men's side and the women's side, plus relays, you got a lot going on and a lot to keep up with. When you think about how many Baylor athletes are competing in this meet, is that typical? Is that standard of this Baylor squad?
Well, that's always a standard. You want to bring as many athletes you can to a regional track meet. If we only had one, it'll be a very long week if we didn't. So I think the more you get, and that means you have more opportunities to qualify for to Eugene in 2 more weeks. So our big thing is we wanted to make sure that every kid that we brought throughout the year made sure they were in the top 48. So it's been a great bunch of young ladies and men. So we're excited about who we brought in, and see how many more we can bring to NCAA championships to finals.
Looking up and down the list of these athletes, too, that are competing for you guys over the course of the next week, and I'm looking on the women's side at Alia Miller, who we followed very closely all year long. What is it that makes her so not just good, but consistently good in what she does?
Well, she's a pro on and off the track. I think her experience has helped her tremendously. I think the success she's had at the Big 12 level and at the national level has prepared her to compete this weekend. And for her being at the high level, her big thing is making sure that she understands the qualifying and not try to kill herself to get through, and then really, really work hard in the next 2 weeks to get ready for the NCAA championships, because that would be the ultimate test, but she has to do it here to get there.
Coach, I look across the way and you see Alia Miller, and then you go right to Akira Nugent, who has put up headlines in her own right across the year this season, has been so consistent as a freshman. How just big is it that not only is she coming in and making noise, but she'll be making noise for 4 years on the track for Baylor?
Yeah, she's an awesome young lady. I think I know like in basketball and football, they always talk about like a gym rat. She's a gym rat. I mean, she studies her event. She's a student of the game. She knows the past success athletes that we've had, even the world-class athletes that she wants to become. So for her, it's just trying to get her to, she's still only, I think, 17, 18 years old, but she has I would say an old soul. And, but she does well with competition. She loves the bigger competition. She steps up when she needs to step up. And so that's always a good thing. So when the lights come on, she's ready to go.
Coach, for a lot of these athletes, and this applies whether it be track, baseball, volleyball, all the way to tennis, for even freshmen, sophomores, many have not competed at conference championship meets or in regional meets because of COVID, and transfers and the like are the exact same. Looking at what your team's able to do in the conference championship meet, how different, how new of an experience was that for the younger athletes that have never been there?
I think for us, since we do have 2 seasons, I think the indoor season helped our young group get prepared for our outdoor season. There's really not a big difference from indoor to outdoor besides the events changed. You instead of running a 60, run 100. And then we add a couple more field events. So I think the preparation that we had indoor helped us a lot for outdoor. And it seemed like the kids were actually a lot more excited for the season. I was concerned because they hadn't run for a year, but they've actually locked in and followed. I think with the help of our strength coaches, our nutrition, and our medical staff, they've done an awesome job to keep everybody healthy for the most part.
So, Coach, going into the West Regional, when you look across the athletes that are set to compete, who are a couple of names that we got to watch out for that should land those top 12 finishes to advance?
The ones that come off the top of my head, of course, you named 2 of them already, Alia Miller and Nugent. And then also, I think on the men's side, you look at Trey Fields, the Big 12 champ in the 400. He's had an awesome year this year. He's been competing at a high level, and his confidence is really high right now. I would say the relay teams, we've always been strong on our relays, and the relays look well to get through in advance. Tuesday Tidwell, she starts competing on Thursday in pole vault, in women's pole vault. She has a great shot. She was an All-American indoor for us. And who else would I think? And I think Kavia, our other young freshman Jamaican runner, she has a good shot to make it in the 2 and the 4.
Coach, I'm looking across the Big 12 championship too, and we had Desean Jones on this show right before you guys competed in the Big 12 outdoor, and I think he was slated 4th or 5th to finish in his race and had won the indoor and had a chip on his shoulder, he told us, going into the outdoor. And it was, take the drip, the outfit that he had along with his competition, and it's tough to find a better an athlete with more swagger out there. But take us through, Desean Jones, really his progression coming from being a transfer, coming to Baylor, and then winning a Big 12 championship in his first time in the outdoor.
Yeah. Desean has had an awesome season. He started back in, he actually came in January, so he didn't really have even a fall training with us at all. So I think for him, when the lights come on for Desean, he does really well. He competes hard, and he strives on the competition.
Coach, too, we want to give plug to a guy we've had on the show a couple of times now, and that Casey Lightfoot, who has now decided to go pro. And I know that can be tough for a track program, but having a guy with those kind of Olympic aspirations who still wears Baylor proudly, what does it mean to have had someone of that caliber in this program?
Oh, it's great. I mean, we definitely were sad when Casey decided to turn pro in the middle of the season, because you always want him to finish it out. But I think he did what was best for him. get ready for the Olympic trials. I think the big thing is for him is it's going to be a little different for him, where the training is going to be a little different because he's traveling a lot more. He'll probably have to run in Europe a little bit to get ready for the Olympic Games and Olympic trials. But it was definitely, I think it helped our position in the pole vault. So we're getting a lot more freshmen, incoming kids that love Baylor because of pole vault, with him and Tuesday doing so well, and our young ones with Ben Conacher and Alex Kubicek, they're doing well too. So I think looks strong for our pole vault program.
Well, Coach, going into the West Regional, what is the best case scenario, the outlook where in a week from now you turn around and say, you know what, we went, we competed, and we did our best?
Yeah, the best case scenario is everyone qualifies. That's going to be the best case scenario. I think if we compete to our ability, we'll have a strong showing at Eugene in 2 more weeks. I think the thing is right now, the team they're really focused on what they have to do for the next 4 days. And like we've been telling them, let's take it day by day, race by race, and let's just focus on what we got to do today and tomorrow. Because the big days are today and tomorrow for the individuals. The relays, they don't go until Friday and Saturday, but today and tomorrow, those are the big days for the individual athletes.
Coach, for you, I'd be remiss if I didn't just throw his name out there, because he's been such a staple in Baylor track and field for so long now, and that's Coach Todd Harbor and what he was able to do. Nobody ever wants to follow the legend because it's always so tough to do, and he did that. He followed the legend, Clyde Hart. What can you say about Coach Todd Harbor and what he's done with this program?
I mean, he just took it to a different direction. I mean, I think when Coach Hart was here, it was 4x4U, and he wanted to get as many 400 guys to come in and do well. And Coach Harbor decided that, hey, we need to be a better team overall. And so we put a lot of scholarship money overall. And so in our field events and our distance events and our sprint events. And so we wanted to make it a better overall team. And then I also think that, but we still wanted to keep the tradition of the 400 and 4x4s going. So I think Todd put his stamp on that.
We got audio there? Coach, can you hear me okay right there? I think we got you again. I'm sorry about that. We cut you off there in the middle of a thought. Keep going, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I thought he's done an awesome job. I think he's giving, instead of having all the money invested in the sprints, we spread it out to we have a lot of new young.
Let's see. Still losing audio there. There we go. Let's see right there. Let's see. Maybe that'll work. Fingers crossed right there. But yes, Coach Todd Harbor. I got you now.
Yeah. But I also think that the audio or the Wi-Fi in the hotel is not great. But I think that he's just spread it out, just spread our scholarship money out. And I think that his big focus is always going to be, how can we be a great conference team? And but still get the high caliber kids and take care of it that way. And so we get kids well-rounded spiritually, mentally, physically, to do well and also graduate. And that was a big thing too.
Well, Coach, I'd be remiss, too, if I didn't bring up Clyde Hart, who was such a staple in the track world for so long as a coach at Baylor. And I tell you what, you were one of those guys that got to be around him up close and personal as an athlete. What was it like being a player with the legend, Coach Clyde Hart?
Well, he was awesome. He was almost like a father figure to me growing up. I mean, he recruited me out of Rochester, New York, to come to Baylor. I fell in love with it from day one. And the big things that I still tell recruits today is the thing that Coach Hart told me was he never promised me that I would be a great athlete, but he said I'll be a better person. But I would also graduate. And so that's all I needed to know. And it worked out. As a coach, he's just a genius. For years after he hired me, I would sit in his office and we would talk training for hours. And so I learned a lot from him. A lot of my philosophies has come from Coach Hart. And it was a huge honor for me to be around him for about 18 years and learning my craft. And so I owe him a lot to the success I've had over the years. I've owed Coach Hart a lot to it.
And Coach Ford, for you talked about being from Rochester, New York, and I know we talked a lot about the current athletes and coaching staff, but you took a chance coming to Baylor from New York. I mean, how did you get here? Why Baylor for you?
Well, for me, I wanted to get away from New York. Of course, I'm not a big snow guy anymore. I love the heat. But the things that drew me to Baylor were the small family atmosphere that I felt when I was on campus for my visit. And then, of course, Michael Johnson was just finishing up Baylor, and Michael Johnson was probably one of my all-time favorite athletes. And so I got a chance to at least train with him a little bit while he was still training here. And also Mike Singletary, I got to watch him play a lot of football. We for some reason we got a lot of Baylor games in New York, so I was able to watch the Bears play a lot. But I just fell in love with the city of Waco, and I knew that it was far enough for me to just focus on school. And then the Christian atmosphere at the time for me wasn't a big deal, but it actually molded me to who I am today.
And then one of my last questions I got for you here, Coach Ford, you went back to Rochester as an assistant coach at the University of Rochester and then decided to return to Baylor. I know you talked about why you came here as an athlete. Why come back as a coach?
Well, it was kind of the same thing. I thought that I've always been big in family. And when Coach Hart called me and said, "Hey, Mike, I got a position for you," I thought it wasn't a real hard decision. I knew Coach Hart really well. Coach Smith, me and her were teammates, and Coach Brabham, he was here. So I knew the area, and I was really comfortable with them. And I knew the success we've had over the years when I was in school, and I had a good vision of what I wanted our team to look like. And but it wasn't a hard sell. It wasn't a hard sell at all. I think the family atmosphere at Baylor, the way the administrators, our athletic administrators, put a lot of emphasis on sports, but we also want to grow as human beings and making us a better people. And so it was an easy sell for me to come back.
Well, Coach, last question for you here as you go into a big week with the Baylor track team, the West Regional in College Station. What is it about these meets, whether they be 3 or 4 days, the typical or the atypical, that you really take away and cherish being with your team for so long in this kind of format?
I think the big things I take away from them are just the fact that you've made it to another level. Conference, we don't have it's not a qualifying. You have a certain amount of people you can bring to the conference meet and you go. But when you get to the regionals and you also get to nationals, it's what you have done to get there. And so you have to qualify to get here. And so for me, it's just making sure I like to see the kids continue to advance to the next level. I think a lot of times when we recruit, those are the meets that we're recruiting towards. So we're always recruiting towards the Big 12, the regional meet, and the national championships. And so that's the kind of kids we want. So when you mentioned earlier about the numbers, we would love more numbers. I mean, we have a big group here, but we probably wanted another 6 or 7 more people. So for us, it's trying to get as many as people as we can, and then having the opportunities to go to the next meet. So I just doing that to me is the most joy I get, and because there are a lot of people staying at home, and their season's already over with. So our thing is, let's see who can continue until mid-June.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you for coming on with us today and give you our Bear Games question of the day that we give all callers and guests. And today's is really something. So Today, you're in the woods on a camping trip. You're just trying to get away, right? You're in the Pacific Northwest. You have somehow found yourself eye to eye with a grizzly bear and an aggressive elk. They have teamed up against you. And to your right, there's a mountain lion and a wild boar. To your left, you've got a wolf, a crossbow, and a western pond turtle. Quick thinking, which duo, mountain lion and the wild boar, or are you taking the crossbow, the wolf, and the turtle to help fend off this bear and elk?
I think I'm definitely not going with the bow, because I'm a city boy, so I've never thrown that, and I'm gonna go with the animals to help me.
Boom.
Oh man,
lock it in. Hey,
I think the mountain lion. I would trust a mountain lion, but me hitting an animal full speed, I don't think I'll able to do that.
Yeah, it's the elk that you got to worry about. Everybody overlooks that elk, but the mountain lion's ability to take down the elk, the wild boar can fend off the bear. You just kind of get to sit and watch. You landed the right. You survived, Oregon Trail style. You survived,
well,
Coach.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks so much for joining the show today. A pleasure having you on and getting your perspective going into this weekend. Congratulations to the amount of athletes that have made it, and Coach, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Nice talking to you and SicEm.
I love it. Thanks again, Coach Ford. Again, Michael Ford, assistant track coach with Baylor University. They are this week in College Station, meeting up with some of the best teams across the country. SEC Network is where you can find that meet. It starts at 3 o'clock today and runs through, I think it runs through like Saturday or Sunday. I think I've seen somewhere it says Sunday, somewhere it says Saturday. So you can check out the action on the SEC Network, SEC Plus. Right now, Baylor